Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Yin practice. For props for today, a couple hard blocks, a soft block will likely come in handy. I'm also going to offer a quad stretch, so if you know hand to foot is a little hard to reach, then maybe a strap as well. When you're ready, we'll get started in Sphinx pose for today. So if you want, you're welcome to have your hard blocks nearby, and then maybe your strap as well if you're using one. And you can come to lying down on the belly. And then we'll set up the elbows roughly underneath the shoulders. You can keep your forearms parallel. If it feels better in your body to bring the hands together, then go for it. And then straight away, see if you need any extra support here. Sometimes a blanket underneath the pelvis can feel good. If this feels too intense to begin with, then you're welcome to start off with the elbows further forward. You're always welcome to bring them further in if you like. If you'd like a slightly different angle or a different intensity, you could also use your blocks to maybe bring the floor up a little bit, deepening the back bend. Make sure that the shoulders stay quiet. If you do feel pinching or anything like that, then you can either back out or you could experiment with maybe taking the elbows a little wider or something like that. And see what the head and the neck want to do. Sometimes there's a tendency to let kind of the chin be heavy here. And it might feel good to lengthen through the throat, so maybe to lift the chin up a little bit today. You could also explore with kind of pointing the top of the head forward, so lengthening through the back of the neck. And if you feel steady and want to close your eyes, go for it or find something unmoving to gaze at. Start to notice your breath here. And if the breath starts to be a little bit shallow or choppy, you might need to back out of your shape a little bit. Notice your body as well. Notice anything that comes up. I'm going to offer to add on a quad stretch here. We'll do one at a time. You're also welcome to stay exactly as you are. We'll start with the right foot, so if you need to find your strap, then go for it. You might kickstand the left arm a little bit across the mat. You might even take it forward for this. You could start off with less of a back bend and then add on as needed. And then bend the right knee, reach around with the right hand to catch it. Maybe gently hugging the foot a little closer to the bum. Again, listening to your body, making sure the shoulders stay quiet, making sure the spine is feeling pain-free here, the hip or anything else. Be with your breath. If you have the right foot, you can gently release it now. Bring that right arm back under you for support. And we'll switch to the second side. If you need to give yourself a break, you can always bring the chest down for a few breaths and then come up when you're ready. This time, the right arm kickstands across the mat. Make sure that that right shoulder feels steady here, and you can reach the left arm back to catch the left foot. Gently hugging the heel a little closer to the body. And see if the side needs slightly different expression or slightly different support. When you're ready, find your stillness. And gently releasing the left foot. And if you have any props underneath you, you can remove them and slowly lower the spine down to the floor, maybe resting the forehead on the palms. If you need a little more release for the hips, then you could think about bringing maybe the right knee up towards the right for a few breaths. If you'd like to turn the gaze down to one side, go for it, maybe gazing towards the bent knee. If you've turned the head or lifted the knee, you can bring them back to center and then set up for the second side. Gently returning back to center. From here, you can bring the hands under the shoulders and press yourself up to a tabletop position. Have your props nearby, and we're going to set up for pigeon pose, or called swan pose in yin. Starting with the left leg, so you can bring the left knee behind the left wrist and then kickstand the left foot over towards the right. It might need a little help. And then start to slide that right knee a little further back behind you. If this doesn't work for you, then you're welcome to take deer pose, which will have you bend the back knee as well. Right shin will now be parallel to the right edge of the mat. So listen to your body and be in either expression. And don't worry too much about where that right leg is pointing. So for some people, it'll point more back behind, for others more to the side. But listen to your hips here. If it feels like you're leaning over towards the left-hand side, then you might benefit from a prop underneath that hip. If the knee feels a little pinchy, sometimes flexing the foot can help stabilize it, or sometimes pointing the toes. So kind of depending on where the shin is angled, you might need to do one or the other. And then with your heart blocks nearby, you can bring one to each hand And then start to walk the hands back so that they're almost in line maybe with that front leg or even with the hips. Now check in to see what the shape feels like. If it feels too intense, especially for the left leg, then you could also bring the hands a little further forward and kind of change the angle with the spine. Making sure it feels like a pain-free expression. If you feel pinching anywhere, if you feel anything that feels kind of sharp or electric or anything like that, then gently back out wherever you need to. Otherwise, as you feel ready, maybe you're closing down the eyes, noticing what you're feeling here. Awesome. We're halfway through the shape, so if you'd like to stay exactly as you are, you're welcome to. Or the option is to take it to your sleeping swan to start to fold over that front leg. So you might start to walk the hands out in front. You could keep the blocks if you want to bring the floor a little closer. And slowly letting the spine release. Maybe a block for the forehead if there's one free. Seeing if any part of you needs a little more support here, and take your time to add that in. And then settle into your stillness. And gently start to walk the hands back in if you're folded. Embracing with the hands, you can bring that back leg a little bit closer. And eventually you can release the left leg, either coming straight to a tabletop, maybe a child's pose, maybe a three-legged tabletop, giving the left leg some movement here. So give yourself whatever counter stretch feels best. Listening to that hip and moving it any way that you need. When you're ready, we'll set that all up on the second side. If you need to pause for a few breaths, then go for it. Listen to your body. If you're ready to come with me, then we'll bring the right knee forward now and kicks down the right foot over to the left. You can help the leg along, but this side may also feel a little different, so take your time. Starting to shift the left knee behind you, maybe adding some support for that right hip. Finding your blocks perhaps, or fingertips. And as you're ready, you can start to walk the hands in a little closer. Notice that the angles of the shape may feel a little different on this side or may need to be a little different on this side to the first. So listen to your body. Perhaps looking for something that feels similar rather than looks similar. Finding your steadiness and your stillness as you're ready. And we're halfway through the shape, so if you stayed here on the first side, you might choose the same. If you're coming with me for the fold, you can slowly start to walk the hands forward, starting to lower the chest down towards the floor any amount. Elbows can stay on props, or you can prop the forehead here. Find your expression, find your stillness. And slowly start to walk the hands back in, embracing the hands to the floor, bending the back knee in just a little bit. And when you're ready, you can release the right leg. You can come to your tabletop, your child's pose, your three-legged tabletop. Give that right hip a little movement if that's what feels best. Awesome. And then you can release the hips to the heels and sliding the hips off to one side, extending the legs out in front, and give the knees a little bit of a tap here. Awesome. We're going to set up a one-legged hero pose, sometimes called one-legged saddle as well. So for this one, we'll take the right leg and then we'll bend it as if it's like a kneeling position, but just on the one side. So straight away, see what this feels like. It might feel like that right hip is floating and the left hip is really heavy. So you might choose to support yourself, maybe bringing a prop underneath. Looking just for a sense of evenness in the height. And then see what this feels like here. You can stay right here the whole time. Sometimes taking the right foot a little bit further wide, so rather than being underneath you, kind of off to the side, that can add a slight internal rotation, which can also feel good through the hip and the hip flexor. If you want to stay upright here, you're welcome to. You could also bring your blocks in if the floor is a little far away. If you'd like to take this a little bit deeper, you can bring the hands in behind you and then start to lean the chest back and see what that feels like. There's also the option, if it's available, to lower down onto the elbows. If you'd like to lower all the way down, that's fine, and you're welcome to explore that as well. I would just caution, if you do have a prop underneath you, that it may just feel a little different, so just take it easy. If you do feel pain or anything like that, the easiest way out once you come down is actually to roll over to the left-hand side so that you can release the leg out from under you rather than trying to come back up. Whatever expression you've chosen, if you would like to take it deeper at any point, you're welcome to. If you need to back out, then listen to your body. If the arms are free, you might bring the hands to come to rest on the pelvis. It might help you feel grounded. Find your stillness as you're ready. When you feel ready to exit, start to lean the body over towards the left so that you can unravel the right leg, and then you can return to lying down on the back. It might feel nice to bend the knees, maybe feet wide and knees together, hands somewhere on the body or beside it, and take a pause here for a few breaths. And then as you're ready, you can roll down to one side and slowly help yourself back up to a seat. And we're going to set that up on the second side. So as you feel ready, you can lean right to bend the left knee, bring the left heel underneath you or beside that left hip. and see what this side feels like. The same option is there to bring a prop underneath. You might even just bring it off or under to begin with, and then maybe you won't need it eventually once the hips get used to the shape. Listen to the left knee if you are feeling pinching or pain or anything. Maybe this isn't the shape for right now, or maybe you need to change it. Maybe you stay upright instead of folding back, even if that's what you did on the first side. So take it nice and slow, stay here. Maybe lean back on the hands, tilt the torso slightly back. Maybe you're lowering down onto the elbows. Maybe you're releasing the spine down to the floor. If when you lower down, if you're coming with me, the left knee rises slightly, that's not a bad thing. Just make sure it doesn't feel like a bad thing in your body. If it puts too much pressure on the ankle, then that might be reason enough to come out or to adjust. You can also slide a block underneath the knee if you'd want it to feel a little more anchored. When you feel ready to come out, leaning over towards the right any amount so that you can release the left leg from underneath you, and then returning down onto the back, bending the knees, maybe the feet wide, the knees together, and pause here for a few breaths. And choose stillness, or maybe you start to windshield wiper the knees side to side. Awesome. When you feel ready, you can bring the knees into the chest. Maybe round the spine a little bit, forehead to the knees. Maybe a gentle rock up and down the spine. Mindful of the neck, just to massage the back. Awesome. You can stay with this, or you could draw some circles with the low back. Or if you like, you can separate the knees, reach between them, and find happy baby, maybe catching hold of the feet, the ankles, or the shins. And keep the low back grounded as much as possible. Maybe the weight of the arms are drawing the knees a little closer to the floor. And stillness, or you could be rocking here. Any movement that you need. Gently release the feet. Let them return to the floor. And setting up for a rest pose, you can either extend the legs long down the mat, or it might feel nice to take butterfly shape, so you can bring the soles of the feet together and the knees nice and wide. And listen to your body, either expression, and you could support the hips or the knees with your props. The hands can stay on the body or be beside it somewhere. And a soft block can make a nice pillow if the head needs a little more support. And starting to settle yourself in, making any final adjustments, finding your rest as you feel ready. Gently deepen the breath to reawaken the body. If the knees are open wide, you can reach for the hands and guide them back together. Maybe feet wide, knees together for a counter stretch for a few breaths. You can roll down to one side as you feel ready, and pausing here for as long as you need. Supported by the hands, coming up to find any comfortable seated position, using any of your props for support. Settling the hips, lengthening the spine, softening the shoulders. Take that scan through the body just to notice. Staying here or bringing the palms together, maybe bowing the chin in towards the chest. Thank you for sharing your energy and your practice today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for Yin practice. My name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your day.